Welcome.
Welcome to the Krewe NFC Mock Draft 2022. Mike Sador's late on the old punch there.
Yeah, I fell asleep at the wheel.
Loosen up behind the wheel.
He's dreaming about
What's
those
going on,
creamsicle uniforms.
2023, man. That's my jam there. You got to love the creamsicle. So, underwear Olympics, the most overhyped thing the NFL does, but people like me just love it because it means we're getting closer to getting back to football action. Pretty incredible this week with what has been done with, all that's been going on with the Combine. You got Malik Mills putting on a show, basically. I mean, he was just unbelievable with his accuracy on the deep ball, put a lot of touch on it, didn't make all the throws. Kenny Pickett's got small hands. 5 linemen are faster than most most running backs. Now it's ridiculous. Brandon Jacobs was, considered fast, being a big man running back in the NFL. We got linemen coming in running sub 4.5. I mean, unbelievable. So let's go around. Let's get your thoughts on what's been going on so far this offseason. It's been a couple weeks since we've been on. 2 weeks without seeing you guys. Gotta say, it's been a great 2 weeks not having to look at the ugly faces on this little box we got here, huh? Brian, what's going on with A-Aron?
What's going on? That's the $1 million question you hear from everybody that, this is happening and then this is happening. It's like, okay, well, let's just get to the truth. So let's just go with he is torn whether to return to Green Bay or not. Now he's got Pittsburgh, Denver, and Tennessee, and he's got links to all 3 of those organizations. It'll just be interesting to see what happens. But I also do think his whole, relationship with Shailene could get in the way with all this because, as you know, there was the supposed breakup, but then they were seen a week later having breakfast or something like that. So, Mr. Mystery,
What's funny is she likes Aaron Rodgers. That's funny enough, but she doesn't like him during football season.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
Well, supposedly the story is, I guess, last summer, like during this whole drama thing about if he was going to return to the Packers or not, he was actually hanging with her on set of whatever film or show she was recording and just hanging out there.
Right.
And she liked that. But, of course, football season comes around, and that's when she apparently doesn't like football. So what are you going to do?
I mean,
and nobody really likes Aaron Rodgers during the regular season. Playoff-wise, they don't really care.
We love him. We all love him during the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how is it 2 40-year-old quarterbacks have a stranglehold on the NFL offseason? I mean, how? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers pretty much are sculpting the draft right now.
Well, it's not even just that. It's free agency in general. I mean, there's no moves, no trades, no nothing. Everybody's just staying pat. And, I honestly think once the Rodgers decision comes down, it's going to be like a 48-hour furious fury of moves.
So you got Tom Brady retiring, so he's not even in the mix. Now, there's a possibility, don't get me wrong, that he might be able to come back. But Bruce Arians and Tampa Bay might want so much that you just simply can't do it. And Aaron Rodgers, who cares?
But, I mean, explain this to me. I just don't understand it. How are you anchoring so much on 2 quarterbacks that have 3 years left, maybe 4?
Well, I mean, look at their production the last 2 years.
I was going to say, is it because the draft class this year is so poor that they are that big of an impact right now?
Quarterbacks, yes.
Yes.
I mean, you don't hear anyone clamoring for Kenny Pickett. Dude broke all Dan Marino's records at Pitt. All of them. Are you telling me you wouldn't take Dan Marino right now in the NFL?
Well, he's like 68, so no. But but I hear there's this kid in Tampa Bay.
Don't.
Wait, what? Jerry's on the show now?
Yeah.
No. I think if you give Kyle Trask an actual honest shot, he may surprise you just how bad he really is. But, it might be like a Jameis Winston, for example, that might show flashes and then unfortunately he kind of gets in his own way, that kind of thing. He just hasn't had that opportunity to. Or he could be the next Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? He could be the next Tom Brady. You never can tell. I know for the Bears, for example, we supposedly have our franchise quarterback, and that's one of the things that the new GM, our friend Mr. Poles, is looking to do is actually shore up that offensive line, because if you remember, of course, in high school and college and things like that, your running back or your quarterback, they hit the ground, you run over there as an offensive lineman, help them up. In case anybody wants to get chippy, anybody wants to start pushing, whatever the case is, you help them up. Those are your guys. You're protecting them. It's almost like a father-son kind of a deal.
Right.
None of that happened last year with the Bears. You're like, oh, Fields is on the ground again. Okay, get in the huddle. And that's one of the reasons why he wants to actually revamp everything. And that's the exciting part. The non-exciting part is the fact that there's, some of the offensive linemen that are out there are so incredibly good, or potentially might be so good that they're going to be gone by the time the Bears get to them in the 11th draft, 11th round, when they finally get the pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I know you're excited about it, Andy, but it's still the Bears. I mean, they'll find a way to screw it up like they always do.
The most storied franchise in NFL.
It doesn't mean it's a good story.
Tragically, it's been a tragedy, actually, a horror for the last 3-5 years.
It's like a bad Shakespearean play, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. I don't see
You've
too many.
Never read Shakespeare in your life.
I don't see too many people, killing their father, marrying their mother, or things like that, or kind of stabbing your girlfriend's father through the curtain.
Right.
But I can appreciate where you're going from there.
So,
you're talking about quarterbacks and Rodgers and Brady and whatever their decisions are, but I mean, there was rumors going around that the new Washington Commanders were putting up like a crap load of draft picks for Russell Wilson, and it just didn't go nowhere. So I mean, it's quiet. Like you're hearing a bunch of stuff. Like it's quiet right now, and that's really uneasy with us as fans, because we like being kind of know what's going on before it goes on. But this is a really weird off season. I don't remember really another one like this one with the way it's going. So I mean, that's just a testament to Rodgers and Brady too. And some teams are willing to give up a bunch of draft picks for a player, and teams are taking it. So, and I think the players have a lot more pull now with I'm not going there. So I think we're in a new era of stuff with where these players want to pick and go. And
you could see 5 to 6 quarterbacks move this year.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so slow right now. But it's real. I mean, I've never seen it. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, it might have happened, but I don't remember ever seeing an offseason like this with just quarterbacks. And the quarterback class is not. I mean, the quarterback class ain't terrible. I mean, you got 3 good, decent quarterbacks. I mean, but are they starters their first year? Probably not. But I've seen worse draft classes than this. So that's
look at the quarterbacks that are leaving the game, like that have left the game within the last 2 years. You got Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, maybe. Aaron
You got
Rodgers,
Breeze.
maybe.
Breeze left. I mean,
Breeze left. I mean, is the young group
Jimmy
of
G.
quarterbacks? Jimmy G's moving. I mean, but as the young group of quarterbacks coming into the league that are already in the league, are they strong enough to carry the league to where, I mean, to be the torch carriers of the league? I mean, Kyle Trask isn't it? Patrick Mahomes, maybe. Oh yeah, definitely Patrick Mahomes. But
you got Josh Allen, I think, stepped up this year. I think you got him. I think there's a lot of young quarterbacks, but I think they're getting overshadowed, and that's the biggest thing. They're getting overshadowed between Rodgers, Brady. They're getting overshadowed with the retirements, and then you got Russell Wilson. I mean, you got all this information going out, and I think it's before it wasn't like that. Like everybody was like, "Oh well, Drew Brees will be in the top tier of holding that draft, holding it up. Aaron Rodgers will be there. Tom Brady is going to be there." I think they've been there for so long that we haven't seen this before, is what I'm saying. We haven't seen this before. So the younger class, you're not talking about because these guys are still there and still performing at a high level. So, like I said, it's something new that we've never seen. So, do I think the younger guys could handle it? Yeah, I do. So, I mean, just the two between Mahomes and Josh Allen alone, I think we'll be able to those two hold the league up for a while. I mean, I want to put Dak in there, but I mean he's not up there. I mean, he's not there yet. I mean, he's right below him, but they were always had those tiers. I mean, and Breeze was always on those tiers. So,
speaking of below him, look at Sean Watson. I mean,
yeah.
They're still talking him, and the man's got 20 accusations against him. And they're saying that this problem has been going on since college.
Yeah.
And he's still getting more spin than quarterbacks coming into the league this year.
Yep.
So, well, one of the things I remember actually just recently reading and then hearing pretty much on several different shows is the emphasis on the quarterback has actually changed a little bit. Because now you have 3-4 wide on every team. And so now that you have more opportunity for wide receivers and things like that, even with tight ends and everything, everybody's getting the ball. That the emphasis has been a little bit more on the quarterback to being able to not only read the defenses but actually get the ball there, with accuracy, with speed and things like that. So, you really see the quarterbacks that are coming out of college this year. I mean, for example, the video that I posted, that kid is not only relatively accurate, but he was chucking that thing 70 yards.
Yeah.
So, but how many times are you going to be able to chuck the ball down the field on an NFL, versus an NFL team, the secondary? 2, 3, maybe.
Jameis Winston tried to do it every snap.
Well,
I think in this league right now, you have a lot more game managers as quarterbacks than you do like stars. Is if we go back, I mean, if we look at when Peyton was in, Brady was in, like when they were all in, Breeze and all them were together, and Rivers and all them, we just keep going down the list. The quarterbacks that are gone, Roethlisberger. If you look now at the quarterbacks that are in the quarterback positions, they are game managers. There is not the star that could just take the game over and do it. I mean, look at Tennessee with Tannehill. He's a game manager. You got Jimmy G, who at San Francisco is a game manager. I mean, you can start going down the list and looking at it. I mean, San Diego is the same thing. David Carr from the Raiders is the same thing. I mean, we can go down the list, even the NFC. There's nothing but game managers. There's nobody that can just step out and be like, no, I got this. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's there. And that's where I'm putting Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, because they're already doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already doing it. There's too many game managers, and that's what it's coming down to. There's too many game managers in the league.
Sorry, but what do you consider to be a game manager? Is it going to be somebody that's like a dual threat, for example, like a Lamar Jackson, who's going to be able to actually stretch a play, give players a time to actually get open so he can throw in the ball? Or, what do you consider as a game manager as opposed to a game changer?
Well, the game managers are what the coaches are telling them what they want them to do. and this is our playbook, and they stick right to it. If you look back at Rivers and all them, they even said like, yeah, they give us 2 or 3 plays, and we get to decide when we get out there. Or Manning, you get out there, this is what we want to run, and you get out there and they just change it. I don't see that too much anymore. That's what I'm looking at. The coaches are dictating what we're going to run, and then we're just doing what the coach said. That's what I'm seeing when I watch football. When I don't see like Rodgers and Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, they're changing the plays from what they see from the defense. You know what I'm saying? So we're not seeing a lot of that from all the other teams.
I mean, we're at the changing of the guard, really, and that comes with experience. You're not going to see young players do those type of things.
We
remember, like, what's that?
Burrow.
We seen it though. That's the thing with Breeze and all them. We seen them. The coaches knew that if they put them out there,
not early though. Breeze was almost out of the league in San Diego. He had one Pro Bowl.
But if you look at Peyton, that's what I'm saying. If you look at the Stars, they were given opportunity. They were given more than one play. It looks now like these quarterbacks look to the sideline. I mean, look at Kyle Murray. Like every time I would watch a game with his, he'd get out there, look at the defense, and he's looking to the sideline at his coach. Like, I don't see other quarterbacks doing that. That's what I'm saying with the game manager thing. Tannehill, he runs whatever the coach tells them. That's what they're running. I mean, I know they got Derrick Henry, but they're running the plays. The coaches are saying they're not changing the plays, reading the defenses, and that's my problem.
Do you think GMs are putting less value on big play quarterbacks, or smart quarterback, or is it just the way the game?
I think this game. The way the game's evolved, I think that's what it's going to. And that's why I said, you said we're in a new era. And I think that's where we're at. We're in an era that we haven't seen before. We're going to see a lot more of that.
I was just going to say, if there's a big change, the biggest change is how quickly the ball comes out. I mean, that's the thing is when we're in a new offensive age right now where it's ball is out 2 seconds, 3 seconds. They don't hold on to the ball like they used to try and have a receiver try and open up, making a play even bigger and stuff like that. I just think what you're saying is right. I mean, we haven't seen, basically a turnover like this. You're talking about, guys that have Hall of Fame resumes all like slowly going, and who's going to be there to replace them? But what kind of player are they? Are they going to be, are we going to see the guy that could, chuck a 50-yard bomb to somebody with accuracy? Or are we going to see the guy that gets the ball out in 3 seconds and it's more or less it's going to be yards after catch type of statistic? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if you're the GM, where do you put the value? I mean, it used to be, the saying used to be, you go quarterback, wide receiver, left tackle, or left tackle, quarterback, wide receiver. It's always those three. That's where the teams have been built, right? Those are usually your first round draft pick. Is quarterback slowly working its way out, or is it that it's just this bad this year? I mean, honestly, it could be the fact that next year's quarterback class is so much stronger than this year's quarterback class that we're not hearing the hype we hear in the past. When we lost Jim Kelly, not lost Jim Kelly because the man's a fighter for sure, but when Kelly retired, Young retired, Montana retired, I didn't feel like we had this lull of quarterback play. I mean, there's still a couple great quarterbacks, but when they were gone, you had Favre, you had quarterback stepping in to carry the game on.
Troy Aikman.
Right. I mean they're there though. That's what I'm saying. And now what do you have in place? You have 2, 3, maybe solid, bet your franchise on quarterbacks right now.
Well, see, take in consideration the types of offense though, because a lot of those offenses are not going to be geared towards having a quarterback like a Rodgers, like a Brady. They're going to have somebody that's going to be able to get the ball to an area, kind of like a Tom Brady in New England. Their whole scheme, of course, was basically, you're throwing it to a window. You're not throwing it to a person. You're throwing it to a window, and that's what made them so incredibly successful. So the quarterbacks that you get that are actually going to be coming in are going to have to be able to do the same type of thing. Look, 3 seconds. You've made your decision. You see where the defense is, who's blitzing, who's dropping, whatever the case is. Now you got to throw it to that window within a time. That a lot of time, and then your player is going to be there to be able to do that. So I don't necessarily think you need one of those type of quarterbacks to be able to actually, survey the field like that guy in Indianapolis that beat the Bears in 2006. Peyton Manning, for example, was able to do that kind of thing. 2006, 2007. We don't want to talk about it though, but
right.
He was able to actually survey the field, see who, what, when, and where. He recognizes this. He's going to be dropping. He's going to be coming. These two are going to switch, whatever the case is, and then he can actually adjust accordingly. But with this offense, these types of offenses, I think you don't necessarily need that type of thing. You're actually going with something that's a little bit more elaborate in a simplistic way, if that makes any sense.
So looking to go like the old Bill Walsh route, as in 5-7 yard patterns, balls out quick. I mean, that seems
to actually do the best, because now you're digging and dunking, but you're getting first downs. Next thing you know, you have a defensive breakdown and you run for 10, 15, 20 yards.
So you're relying on yard after catch is what you're saying.
Those darn yackers.
But you got a guy like David Bell at the combine who's phenomenal in the NC2A. All Big Ten receiver of the year. Hands down, stock was rising going into the combine. And he wets himself in the underwear Olympics. I mean, now you got David Bell, who could possibly fall all the way to 39 and go to a team like the Bears, who have one receiver on contract.
Mm-hmm. So take like Julian Edelman, for example. Take like, some of these other players that have always made themselves the go-to player. Cooper Kupp. I don't recall Cooper Kupp running a, 1 second flat 40. So
no, I think it was like 4.56 or something like that.
There's game speed. Yeah. But there's game speed. Then there's, of course, combine speed, that kind of thing. So he just happens to be one of those guys that's going to be a game speed type of thing, where he might not necessarily run, the fastest, but I'll be darned if he isn't always, 2 or 3 yards away from that safety, that corner, that DB.
Right. But so we're putting the emphasis on yards after catch. The games kind of went away from running the ball. So your running backs, not many running backs get picked in the first round. So what is it? First round alignment? I mean, defense? Where do we go in the first round if you're a GM?
Lineman.
Depends on your team. If you're like a Bears, for example, you might go with a defensive tackle because they're always been defensive team, or an offensive lineman, which the Bears have actually needed offensive linemen for a while, and actually fill in with free agents. If you're in Green Bay, for example, for some reason they seem to, because of that quarterback, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're getting a first, second, third rounder, you're going to be able to actually have success simply because you have that quarterback and he's definitely on the plus side of game manager, I would say.
Right.
So, and it doesn't necessarily seem to matter, who you plug in. The ball, similar to that, is always going to sit there and it's going to be there where it needs to be. And that's where his positives come in.
So if we were to be GMs, we could probably do a mock draft or something. We could see where we would play out. But
that is an amazing segue.
Before we go into that, no, I was going to say, before we go into that, let's hear where you would go before we get into mock drafting it and everything. Where would you go with your first pick, or what is it, 8th round pick for the Bears? I mean, where would you go? Where are you leaning? You going field position? You're going lineman?
Bears, of course, need wide receivers. Wide receivers, of course, I don't want to say they're at a premium, but you got some guys that are spectacular, or they do really well in college, and then they kind of sort of fall flat. Now, it depends, because of the fact we have an entirely new offense, so they're going to have to pick the wide receiver that's going to be fitting with that offense. So if it's going to be geared more towards Justin Fields, who kind of sort of likes to roll around a little bit and keep the play alive for people to – I think that Big Ten youngster actually might be a very, very good pickup. Also, you might get Christian Watson, North Dakota State. North Dakota State, I don't. Whatever you say about North Dakota State, they're like an 11-time national champion. They're doing something right over there.
What's crazy is they're a run first team, and that dude still averaged like 17.9 a reception. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's fast. He's like 6'4".
Yep, 104 receptions, over 2,100 yards, which isn't too shabby. 14 touchdowns, 62 rushes. So you might also want to go with John Dotson, Penn State.
Now that dude's going to Bucks. Dotson's phenomenal.
Tragically, if somehow he made it all the way down to the Bears' second round, that would be one of those things. I just hope the Bears don't give too much up to get a first rounder, just like we did kind of, a couple years ago. But
being a new regime, I don't think you do that your first year. I don't think you stretch yourself thin with draft ammunition by jumping up in the draft. You don't have any players that you can. I mean, no one's going to give you a first round for Khalil Mack.
Yeah, not coming off an injury.
No.
Defensive linemen, of course. If by chance we were actually able to get some of those defensive linemen from Georgia, for example, the ones that are all, sub-5.
Yeah, the ones with the rocket pack on their back. Jesus.
Right. That would be great. I don't see that happening. They're probably going to go top 10 because, they're all 6'4", 6'5", like 300 pounds, 4'5", 4'7", 40, 30-plus inch jump, things like that. It's almost like watching myself younger.
I do remember watching you play, and it was quite a tragedy. But
but the Bears, unfortunately, they need several different position players, things like that, in order to be able to kind of shore up certain things. But I think with the new coaching staff, with the new offense, I think they're going to be looking into potentially getting the player that's actually going to be able to fit their offense, as opposed to, take, for example, Odell Beckham, just because he's a name, he might have actually did one or two plays. Next thing you know, he doesn't necessarily mesh. Antonio Brown, who doesn't necessarily mesh. But you want a player that's going to be able to fit in your scheme, and actually it's going to be more of a positive than anything.
All right. I think we spent too much time already on the Bears. All right.
You want more Bears talk? Okay, so then we talk about.
Yeah. So which of you two knuckleheads want to go next? Or where you would go if you were drafting?
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Well, this again, the biggest question mark is Aaron Rodgers. It's Devontae Adams. Are they coming back? So a lot of these things I've been looking up, and I'm just like, okay, what are they truly looking at and setting themselves up for whatever scenario happens? And the one thing that I have strong feelings about is that I really do think they're going to get rid of the Smith brothers. And I think their first pick is going to be a linebacker. I think they're going to go linebacker in the first round, try and get somebody good, and they're going to wait for the next couple rounds to shore up a receiver or offensive line guy. But I was looking at Drake Jackson from USC. Talented pass rusher, has good change of play, direction ability, which I'm reading my notes here. It's difficult to touch when he employs head fakes, jab steps, and body language to force an offensive lineman into false steps. I haven't really seen a lot of video on him. Just a lot of the things that I've read, the Packers are pretty high on this guy. Now, if they were to go to receiver route, that's interesting. There's a few receivers out there that in the first round that I wouldn't mind having, but I know I can't remember the guy from Penn State's name. I think you sent me the
Jaha Dotson.
Yeah. I looked at that. I was like, that wouldn't be a bad pick. And
you also got the receiver from Alabama that could fall that far. I mean,
that's true. And I looked at that too. I was like, ooh, did they take the chance on him knowing he wouldn't be available the first half of the season? Could they take the chance on that guy? What happens if he's like a stud? Well, then you just, if they don't get Devontae, you could have just replaced Devontae Adams. So
quick question. Let's say if Amari Cooper is out of Dallas, do you pick up an Amari Cooper?
Good question. It depends. It's what is he? You know, that's that whole salary cap thing's the big problem with Green
He's
Bay
got a
too.
heavy contract. But if you don't have A-Aron and you're taking a trip on the Love boat, you got plenty of cap room.
Yeah, there's just if Aaron were to leave, that's $20 million right there.
If Aaron leaves, Adams is gone unless they tag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean Adams. Let's just put it this way: if they franchise Adams, that's $20 million against the cap.
Right.
That's so. And the thing is like if you were to look at the cap, I mean they started with almost $50 million over the cap, and they've already restructured 3 contracts with Kenny Clark, Aaron Jones, and Bakhtiari, which saved them $23 million. Yeah. But now you're still $30 million off. I mean, and
$30 million is nothing cap-wise.
I think the casualties are coming. And like I said, I was talking about the Smith brothers. I mean, if you getting rid of those 2 alone, cutting them would save you $28 million right there.
Yeah, but all you got to do is call the New Orleans Saints and figure out how to get loans or something. That team manipulates the cap better than any team I've ever seen in the NFL.
I know.
They just push it down the road, push it down. They're going to be paying Bobby Bonilla here soon. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, it's just I think with the Packers, they've always been a team that they don't exactly go for, technically best available on the board. Their scouting department's always been very good to just find these guys and just pluck them, and then they end up being decent. I mean, and just like you were saying earlier, they don't need, when you have Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, you can throw any wide receiver out there. And as long as the ball's, the ball's going there, you just got to catch it. So
Cole Beasley has just become available. I mean, if you have Aaron Rodgers, that might be a good fit. I mean, I'm just saying, Cole Beasley's not a bad receiver.
He would be an upgrade to Randall Cobb.
You might be an upgrade to Cobb now. But
yeah,
Mike, where are you going? Mikey Jones?
Dude. Well, I mean, if it's anything like what's been going on the past 10 years with Dallas now, it's the best available player that's on the board they take. So, to me, what I want them to do is get a left tackle. I've been a big fan of Tyrone Smith since they drafted him out of USC. Huge fan of his. He's done, man. The past 2 years, injuries have been killing him, and I know he's still a monster of a man, but he's fallen off. So they need a center too. I think whoever becomes available, the kid from Iowa, he's not coming. I don't think he'll make it down to where Dallas is at.
Lincoln's solid.
But they also said that about Travis Frederick when he got drafted to Dallas. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick, and he fell all the way to Dallas at 20, I think it was.
Tyler Linderbaum
but I think
is his name.
Yeah. So me personally, if Linderbaum's there, I think they take him. But if they don't, I think they, like I said before, it'll be either Trevor Penning or it'll be the kid out of Central Michigan. I ain't even going to try to say his name. I'll learn it later. See if they draft him. So I do
center.
I mean,
out of Boston College.
Yeah, but I think he's more of a second-round pick. I think because of just the talent around, I think he goes in the second round somewhere. But I think they go left tackle right off the bat and kind of, I don't say they're going to say goodbye to Tyrone Smith, but I think that they need a backup. Steele's a good backup, but that's where he's at. He's good for 1 or 2 games, and then that's it. I know they're getting rid of Connor Williams, which I absolutely love that we're getting rid of him. Our whole penalty guy that we have that gives us at least 10 penalties a game. So I think we go left tackle and the first round and do the offensive line. But Dallas is always just who's ever best available. But I think they do. I think they need a left tackle because Dallas is always with. I believe Stephen Jones is doing a lot of this work. I don't think Jerry's doing a lot of it. I think Jerry's signing off on it, but I think Stephen Jones is doing a lot of this work with the drafts the past 8 years. So I think that he's the reason why we've been getting the players we have been. It's just we don't have a coach that can put it all together and help us out. So
right on. Well, I will tell you, if I'm the Bucs GM, if I'm Jason Light, last year I think I paid the penalty of just being too cocky, thinking what I had was enough, thinking I didn't need to go depth, think I didn't need anybody. That was all the talk last year. The Bucs have zero needs. Week 1, we're scrambling for defensive backs. Now you look at the roster and it's wide receiver. Bucs going to lose potentially could lose Godwin, although I think they signed him. Antonio Brown's already out the door. Now we have Ali Marpet as a guard who announced his retirement after his best season as a professional athlete. So honestly, I think the Bucs could go wide receiver. I think the Bucs could go interior offensive lineman, preferably a guard. But Jensen's on the free agency market too, one of the best centers in the league, and you could go center. I honestly think the Bucs go talent and go not talent, but skilled positions. And you're going to see them pick either a wide receiver or possibly a cornerback because their starting corner is out as well in the free agency. So it could go any direction, but I'd love to see where it goes. Andy,
Don't you guys need a quarterback also?
let's go into the draft. Let's get this ball rolling, shall we?
Oh, Lordy.
So we're all going to pick for our respective teams. Andy, take us to the draft, friend. We are actually using the Pro Football Focus Draft Simulator, and we will start the draft here. When your team's up,
the Bears aren't picking in the first round?
No, Bears don't pick until I think pick 87.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, nice.
I
Thanks.
think I'm the first. Oh no, Cowboys are first pick.
Yep. There it is.
Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker.
You know exactly where I'm going. There's that kid from what is
Raymond,
it?
Central Michigan,
Raymond?
Bernard Raymond.
There we go.
Solid.
Boom.
All right,
So-
and I'll be next. So let's see. It's top one, Andy. Just click that little draft icon there.
This one?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Oh, come on. You're going to give me Crystal. Take him.
You're not going to take the quarterback from. You're not going to take the quarterback from North Carolina.
That couldn't have fallen better.
Man, wait. Go ahead. Keep it up. Keep it up with your nonsense.
Brian.
Well, if we're
Wide
playing, if we're playing the game of best available, then I'm going with, if I'm going with best available, I am going with Kenyon Green because they need offensive line help.
A solid guard out of Texas A&M.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially if you're going with someone like Jordan Love. You need that protection up front. He ain't going to have the decision-making skills that Aaron Rodgers has. Bears are finally on the clock, and Sky Moore falls.
Hey, before we do this draft, I want everybody to know that we decided not to pick the 49ers because Jerry says they'll be back in the Super Bowl, so they don't need to draft anybody. Dude, that's why we're not doing it.
They already bought their tickets? Nice.
Yeah.
Sky Moore from Western Michigan.
Desmond
Dude's
Ritter,
had a combine for sure.
Well, Desmond Ritter, I do have quite a bit of experience with him, being at Cincinnati. Of course, UCF plays them all the time. We don't necessarily need a quarterback. I see where they're going here. Sky Moore, you know what? I think I am going to have to go with Sky Moore. I really am. We do need some, like this kid right here, safety from Georgia. That would look good too. Linebacker, we did in fact.
You have one receiver on contract, and he's not a number one receiver. Sky Moore has number one receiver potential.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think I am going to do like a Bears GM thing. We're going to go either defensive lineman or possibly even a defensive lineman. No, we're going to go with Sky Moore.
Oh man, I was hoping Cook falls to me. I would love to see the Bucks let go of both Jones and Fournette. Oh wow!
See, this is where I know this is where I'm torn because I have written down offensive line, linebacker, and D line, but I also have safety written down. Yeah, and I think I'm going to go with the safety from Georgia.
Ooh,
I think we're going to have to do that.
In my mock, I have them picking Brisker out of Penn State, actually, as safety. So
yeah, I mean, I know we need D lineman, or a linebacker, but I think that kid's too good to pass up in the second round.
Oh wow! So this is a tough pick here. At 59, you got dude from Oklahoma, Brian Asamoah. Bucks love linebackers. I mean, they love them. Look at who they have already. But we have the potential of losing JPP. He's a free agent. We have Shaq Barrett on the other side. He's technically a linebacker, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him. But if I am – scroll up, Andy. Other way. If I'm taking someone, man. Yeah, I'm taking Osma, Oklahoma. There's other needs, but you can't pass up talent like that.
That's what it is with Dallas. I mean, do you take the linebacker? They need a linebacker, but they need a safety too. But Dallas ain't known for taking safeties, but that's just me personally taking a safety. So
I would have taken a safety there too. Brian, it's you. You're on the clock, my friend.
See, now this is where it gets interesting again, because obviously we're talking about the Packers needing linebacker help, but they also need wide receiver. I mean, in this case, just the five right up top there. I don't know if you can scroll down a little bit.
I think they stay in Wisconsin and go with Chanel.
I mean, if you look, if we're going according to the rankings and best available, I mean, it's straight up defense. But the real need is at linebacker, and so I'm doing it. I'm going Wisconsin. I'm going that Wisconsin linebacker.
Leo.
I think we're heading back to the Windy City, huh?
Because the Bears still, of course, need their offensive linemen. They also need some defense. Oh, now that's interesting. I don't know if we necessarily – I wouldn't say we need a linebacker per se. Of course, like I said, Brandon Smith is actually the linebacker from Penn State. It is kind of interesting. Kirby Joseph, one heck of a safety, as a matter of fact, from Illinois.
He fits your scheme as well.
Yeah, that's – oof. But then we have this fella right here. You know what? I'm going to have to go with him. I'm going to have to go with an offensive lineman. I'm going to have to go with a tackle. So
there you go.
Because if you actually do, in fact, get a center, Cody White here, like we were talking about, go to guard full time, then you, of course, you get yourself a center, and James Daniels, you get him back. There's some play there.
You, Mike.
Yeah, I know. And that linebacker is awful enticing. And Dallas does love getting, linebackers that are not really known for smaller schools.
School linebacker.
But that kid from
Arizona, quarterback. You guys need a quarterback.
Kalen Dice.
The thing is, too, is that kid from Arizona State could be moved to guard too.
Yeah, he's versatile. I was just going to say that he can play both sides of the ball. I don't know if he's ever taken snaps at center, but I know he can play both sides of the ball and play guard.
Yeah. So, oh, man.
We don't.
I really think they'll go. me personally, I would, because they got that other center from Arizona State too. But
If you're looking for a guard,
I don't know. Yeah, we're looking. I'm more looking for a center position, but it's too far down. I think the centers they'll fall in the third and the fourth round. So
Yeah, you could get a
go back
center
up.
in the fourth.
Yeah.
We can pick Brian Robinson out of Alabama just for you, Bri.
Oh, thanks.
I really do, because we went and tackled safety. I really think they go for best available, and if that linebacker's there, I think they take the linebacker, even though they still need D linemen. I don't know.
so
I
your
don't
time on
see-
your clock is up.
I was going to say show ends at 10. Yeah, 10. So
We're taking the linebacker. So
Troy Anderson.
yeah, we'll go Anderson. So
Carson Strong, quarterback. You guys need a quarterback.
Oh, we actually need a guard. We definitely need a halfback, and Damon Pierce, solid halfback.
Damian Pierce is a solid halfback.
Yeah, we'll do here.
Pierce is actually not too shabby either. He's actually pretty good. Not only is he a good blocker on your wide receiver, but he tends to get open as well. It doesn't matter how fast or slow he is. He's actually a pretty good pickup for you.
Yeah, I think Bucks go halfback here in the third. You only have Vaughn on contract right now. Damian Pierce is a local talent, I guess you'd say, being a Gator, but I just think it makes sense to go halfback in the third. So give me halfback Damian Pierce, sorry.
Final answer?
Final answer.
I think all of y'all the weakest link.
And
Well-
Kevin Dash is still there at tackle from Arizona State.
Well, here's the thing: the Packers already addressed the linebacker and an offensive line position, but we're still looking for the receiver. And it's funny that you brought up Alec Pierce, because he was written on my 5 receivers that I was looking at. So if he's there, I'm taking him.
There you
Nah,
go.
you don't want him. You don't want him.
Yeah, we do.
You guys need Carson Strong. You guys need a quarterback.
Carson Strong falling that far in the draft. I mean, in the third round, he's a solid quarterback. Had a decent combine. His pro day will definitely help his stock. I think he'll probably creep up into the second. But there you have it. We can post our results if Andy, if you want to send those to me, we can post them on the actual group page itself. And that way we can at least go over them after,
Well, we're going to have to. We're just taking a sweet time loading up.
To see how bad we suck at GMs.
Hey.
well, the thing is, Dallas hasn't taken a safety in a draft, and not Darren Woodson. I mean, we go back. That's about as far back. They don't take safeties, and that's
What's
part
the
of the problem.
definition of insanity?
Doing the same stuff over and over again. But look who our owner is.
Results.
Look who our owner is. Look who our owner is, though. But that's why because the only reason I went with linebacker instead of going with like the edge rusher from Kentucky on that the third round is because as of right now they don't know what they're going to do with Micah Parsons. They're waiting for the draft. They're waiting for the draft to see who they could get best available. If they can't get a linebacker where they want a linebacker, they're going to keep Parsons at a linebacker. Nope. So it'll be either edge rusher or linebacker when they get to the third round. The second round, they might go linebacker. There he is.
So I'm really interested to see where a couple teams in the South go, because you got Atlanta and Carolina, who are both in dire need of quarterback play. Atlanta could draft quarterback this year in the first round and groom him for next year because Matty Ice ain't going to be there forever. Carolina really doesn't have a starter.
I think they go with Pickett.
They go
with Pickett. They picked that kid up from.
That's who I had going at 6 is Kenny Pickett to Carolina. But Mark Willis intrigues me. I mean, he goes to Atlanta. Say Willis goes to Atlanta. Plays a year behind Matt Ryan. And actually makes the game day roster and is actually on the field during the game, unlike a certain quarterback that was selected last year that never made it onto the field, never made it out of the press box. I mean, I think it'll be good to see them go with Willis, but they also need a wide receiver. I mean, they have nothing there. The cupboard's bare in Atlanta right now. Bucs are still picked to win the South, and they don't even have a damn quarterback right now.
That's how incredibly strong the South must be.
Oh, it's unbelievable how weak the South has become. But
it's always been weak. It just one team shines every year.
But the one team that shines usually goes pretty deep in the playoffs.
Yep.
But and still lose.
I believe
they lose so bad that their quarterback retired, their running back wants to jump ship, all their receivers.
So the NFC South is going to be open. The NFC North, if Aaron Rodgers is gone, is going to be a bye in the playoffs. I mean, where do you have there?
Well, I'll tell you what. The Vikings become the team, and it's nothing that this isn't this isn't me making poking fun at the Bears again, but they still have a quarterback. And granted, he's not the greatest quarterback, but he's a quarterback and actually had a really good season. Nobody really recognized it. They house clean, new coach, new GM. All they're really lacking right now is defensive line help. And looking at their news, they're looking at signing Akeem Hicks as a free agent, which would really bolster that line. Cousins is looking for an extension, but not doing a discount. Obviously, so that could be a big question mark is how happy will Cousins be, even though Cousins was the one that was really promoting the head coach hire. He was involved in all that. It'll be interesting to see. I think if Rodgers leaves, they're the team. And the Lions, depending on how they do in the draft, and a lot of things I'm reading, they're looking at that Pittsburgh quarterback. And there's articles that they're planning to trade up to get him.
How high would they have to trade to get him? I mean, seriously.
Jacksonville ain't going to take him.
It's not like the Lions are picking 25th in the draft.
I understand, but I mean, they want what it seems like they're going to do is they're going to pull what the Bears did with Trubisky, even though one pick off, you still trade up to go get him.
Right.
I mean,
if Trubisky will be a starter next year, I think, in the NFL.
I agree.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is this draft is going to be so crazy this year. It's going to be a weird draft because quarterbacks are on a premium, defensive backs, linemen, linebackers are all. You're going to see go off the board pretty quickly. Wide receiving core. This is probably one of the fastest wide receiving class that come into the draft. I mean, it's going to be crazy. I just don't know what to expect. I mean, it's weird. Usually, you're like first round draft pick, quarterback. First pick of the draft, quarterback. That's not going to happen this year.
Like I said, just waiting on the Rodgers decision. I really do feel like once that comes down, and I'm hoping it's Tuesday. I really do. There's a lot of things I'm reading that Tuesday might be the day. And if that's the case, I'm really interested to see how these teams are going to start finagling A, trades, B, are you going to sign, any of these quarterbacks that are on the free agent market, before the draft? Because I mean, people got to start getting their ducks in a row. I mean,
if Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh's in the playoff guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
So that's a big deal.
If he goes to Minnesota, I mean, because Minnesota, which by the way, I didn't realize we were doing morning drinking or something like that, because Brian's just talking all kinds of crazy. Kirk Cousins is almost like he's almost like a mediocre edition of Kyle Trask at best. If it wasn't for their running back, really,
look up Cousins' stats this past year. He's
a game manager.
Shocked. Like his stats compare to one of the top level quarterbacks.
Oh, agreed. He's one of the best game managers in the league, and I think we covered that earlier on in the show. That's
stats.
The direction.
I don't see him getting a contract, except not at the level that he wants. If he wants like Aaron Rodgers money or something like that, I think he probably would have had to take his stats and actually double them. But
see, and that's the problem is Mahomes set the table on that. What are you going to do?
$150 million a year. Yeah, exactly.
What's sad? Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you right now. If Rodgers leaves the North, I'm saying it right here. Next season's gonna be one for the ages of what happens in the NFC. And I'm telling you right now, watch Detroit will take that North.
We are morning drinking anyway.
I want what he's drinking.
Right. So what's sad is that you look at the NFC East, and Cowboys are a playoff team. NFC East, NFC West. I really think the Niners still are a playoff team, moving away from Jimmy G. The South is so weak. I think the Bucs are a playoff team. And then the North is just a quagmire right now. It's all hindering on Aaron Rodgers' decision. He's got the league hostage right now. It's stupid, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen anything like that before. Have you, though? Quarterback's pretty much holding the league hostage, and that's what's happening.
Look at the bright side. The USFL is coming, and then the XFL.
Yeah, I'm all excited to dive into the USFL. That should be coming up soon. We could do a couple shows on that.
Did you read about the fact that the original owners from the USFL teams are actually suing the new owners of the USFL teams because they're using the same images, same logos, everything? Yeah. So I think there might be a little bit of a money grab, which 100% absolutely. You can totally see.
And did you see that XFL is going to be like a they had an agreement with the NFL, like they're going to be like a training program for the NFL.
It's not really a training program. They're going to implement rules. The NFL is going to give them rules they want implemented. They're going to try to sculpt the game down on the XFL level, see how well it works out, and then they'll transition it to the NFL. And I really think that's the only reason they brought The Rock on to Super Bowl Sunday. But anyway, I don't know if you call it a minor league because you're not going to see many players go from the XFL to the NFL.
Well, there's a possibility because XFL actually produced a bunch of NFL players after the first thing, but they were also talking about potentially having refs actually do a little bit of cleaning up and stuff like that in the XFL, and which would be
developmental.
If you actually look at the last series, of course, with LA and it's one of those things where that some people still find that kind of I know I do. I still find that a little bit of on the rough spot, because there was a couple of questionable, in my opinion, calls, and it's just one of those things. I think it's definitely going to be a plus, but having almost year-round football, I think it's going to be a big plus.
Oh, more football, more better. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we can't talk about baseball, right?
It's hard to sit and watch a full baseball game anyway. I'm happy that they're going to cut some of these games out. I think the season's too long. But that's
Bobby Bonilla right now. Bobby Bonilla is the highest paid baseball player.
That's right.
Well, gentlemen, next week we're going to dive into free agency. Are we going to keep pounding away at this draft, or what do you want to do next week?
Well, we can do free agency, then we can follow up with the draft after that.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Yep. Niners suck.
I was just going to say, I think on the count of three, we're all going to pay homage to Jerry and tell him how bad the Niners suck. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Niners suck.
Niners suck.
I don't know. I'm kind of partial on the Green Bay sucks on that one.
You guys can't do it in unison? What? We couldn't figure that out.
No, I just think it's only fun when I do it.
All right, all. We'll see you next week.
See you.
Go Bucs.